When you get old, you don't really count the days anymore. You count the moments, the laughter, the voices, the footsteps in the house. But one day, the footsteps stop, and the silence becomes louder than anything else. My name is Martha. I'm 72 years old, and I live alone in a small house near the hill. Once, this house was full of noise. My son's laughter, his music, his dreams. But now, only the wind talks to me. My son's name is Daniel. He was my whole world. I raised him alone after his father died in a car accident when Daniel was just 5. We didn't have much, no big house, no fancy toys, but we had love. We had late-night talks and early morning hugs. He would run into my arms every time I came home from work and say, "Mom, I missed you like the stars miss the moon." He was such a bright boy, curious, gentle, full of dreams. When he was 10, he said, "Mom, one day I'll buy you a big house and you'll never have to work again." I smiled, touched his cheek, and said, "I don't need a big house, Daniel. I just need you." But dreams change. When Daniel turned 18, he got a scholarship to study in the city. I was so proud, yet my heart trembled. It was the first time he'd be so far away. The night before he left, we sat on a porch watching the stars. He said, "Mom, I'll call you every day." I smiled. "Don't worry about me, Daniel. Just take care of yourself." I didn't know that night would be the last time he'd ever sit beside me like that. At first, everything was fine. He called every few days. He told me about his classes, his friends, the city lights. I loved hearing his voice. It was like sunshine through the phone. But then the calls became shorter, then less frequent, and then they stopped. I told myself he must be busy. He's growing up. He has a life now. I sent him messages, "How are you, son?" But sometimes days would pass without an answer. I would sit near the window with my phone in hand, listening to the ticking clock and the quiet hum of my own heartbeat. The house felt colder. Meals tasted emptier. Even the radio seemed quieter. One winter morning, I tried to call him again. No answer. So I tried again and again. After the 5th try, I sat down and cried. Not because he didn't answer, but because deep down, I feared he didn't need me anymore. A year passed. Then one day, I got a message. "Hi, Mom. I'll visit next week." I couldn't stop smiling. I cleaned every corner of the house. I cooked his favorite meals. I even bought new curtains, blue ones, because he always liked blue. When he arrived, he looked different. Taller, confident, but distant, like a stranger wearing my son's face. He hugged me, but not tightly. His phone kept buzzing and he kept checking it. We sat for dinner and I asked, "So, how's life in the city?" He smiled a little. "Busy, Mom. Always busy." Then I asked, "Do you still play the guitar?" He said, "Not really. I don't have time." The air grew heavy. He was there, yet not really there. That night, I heard him talking on the phone. He said softly, "Yeah, babe, I'll be back tomorrow night. Don't worry." Babe. He never called me that. Someone else was waiting for him, someone who had taken my place in his heart. The next morning before leaving, he said, "Mom, don't worry, I'll visit again soon." I nodded, pretending to smile, but when the door closed, I knew soon could mean months, maybe years. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. No calls, no visits. I learned to live with the silence. Every morning, I'd make 2 cups of tea, one for me, one for him. And every morning, 1 cup went cold. I began talking to the photos on the wall. I told them about my day, my garden, the birds. Sometimes I'd even imagine Daniel sitting across from me, smiling like he used to. The neighbors would ask, "Martha, when's your son visiting again?" And I'd smile and say, "Soon, very soon." But I knew the truth. He had moved on. One rainy night, I sat by the window watching lightning light up the sky. I whispered, "God, please, just let me hear his voice once more." And as if the heavens heard me, my phone rang. It was Daniel. My hands trembled as I picked up. "Mom," he said. "Daniel! Oh, my boy! How are you?" He sounded tired. "I'm okay, Mom. I just wanted to check on you." I tried not to cry. "I'm fine, dear. Just missed you." We talked for a few minutes, short, polite, distant. Before hanging up, I said softly, "Daniel, don't forget your old mother, okay?" He laughed lightly. "I could never forget you, Mom." But after that call, he didn't call again. Not for months, not for years. One bright morning, a letter arrived. A real paper letter, something rare in these times. It was from Daniel. My heart raced as I opened it. It said, "Dear Mom, I know I haven't been a good son. Life got fast and I forgot to slow down. I got married last month. I wanted to tell you sooner, but I wasn't sure how. Her name is Sarah. You'd like her. We're moving abroad next week. I'll call you when we settle down. Love, Daniel." I dropped the letter and sat still. Married, moving away, all without telling me. Tears fell, but not from anger, from emptiness. I had given my whole life to that boy, and now he belonged to another world. 5 years passed. No visits. A few messages on birthdays, sometimes late. Photos of him and Sarah smiling in front of beaches and cities. He looked happy, and I told myself, that's all that matters. But loneliness is a strange thing. It eats you slowly, like rust on metal. Some nights I'd wake up and reach out to the empty bed, wishing my little boy would walk through the door and say, "Mom, I'm home." Instead, there was only the sound of the clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Each second reminding me he was gone. Still, I didn't hate him. I prayed for him every night. I forgave him 1,000 times in my heart, because a mother's love doesn't end, even when her heart does. Then one evening, many years later, I heard a knock at the door. I opened it, and there he was, Daniel, older now with tired eyes. Beside him stood a little boy, maybe 6 years old. He said softly, "Mom, this is Ethan, your grandson." My knees almost gave way. I knelt down and hugged the child, tears falling onto his tiny shoulders. That weekend, the house came alive again. Laughter returned. Ethan ran around the garden, chasing butterflies, and I watched Daniel smiling at him the way I once smiled at him. One night, Daniel said, "Mom, I'm sorry. I should have been here for you." I touched his hand and said, "It's okay, Daniel. I never stopped waiting. You're here now. That's enough." He hugged me tightly, tighter than he had in years. And for the first time in a long time, I felt whole again. A few months later, I got sick. The doctor said my heart was weak. Daniel visited more often, bringing Ethan along. The little boy would hold my hand and say, "Grandma, when I grow up, I'll take care of you." And I would smile, because I knew, in a way, my wish had come true. One morning, Daniel sat beside my bed and said, "Mom, "I'm sorry for all the years I left you alone." I whispered, "Don't be sorry. You gave me everything I ever wanted: love, memories, and a reason to keep living." He started to cry, and I told him, "When you were little, you promised to buy me a big house. You didn't have to. You already gave me something bigger: your love." That night, I fell asleep holding his hand, and for the first time in many years, I wasn't alone. Now, this story isn't just about me and Daniel. It's about all the parents who wait by the window, hoping their children remember them. If you still have your parents, call them. If you still have your family, visit them. Because one day, when the silence grows heavy, you'll wish you had said one more